Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Burke County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. Madam Clerk, I will, want you to note that we have all 5 commissioners in attendance, our county finance officer, our county attorney, and our county manager. Ladies and gentlemen, I would ask you to please, because I forget to do this sometimes myself, please silence your mobile devices. And I will ask anybody that comes to the lectern to speak, please activate your microphones before speaking for the YouTube recording purposes. So thank you for that. Our first item of business is the invocation. I will now ask Reverend Dr. Eddie Bunton Jr. from Burkemont Baptist Church. So he's the Associate Pastor, Student Ministries and Missions, to lead us in our invocation. And I will ask you to stand, and please remain standing, because afterwards I'm going to ask our county attorney, Mr. J.R. Simpson, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
The Word of God in James 1:5-6 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind." That scripture is not my assessment of all of you. It is the simple admission of a man who needs all the help he can get. So let's ask the Lord together for wisdom. Father, I thank you. I thank you that your word tells us that we can ask for wisdom. Lord, we know that you appoint governments and you work through people who say yes. Thank you for those who have come tonight to say yes, whether it be as a commissioner, whether it be as a citizen with a concern. Father, what we ask you for is wisdom and reason. Thank you that you give your gifts generously for those who ask in faith. And we ask it now on behalf of our county and those who will make decisions tonight. I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Moving on to item number 4, approval of agenda. Gentlemen, you've had the opportunity to review the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Abley. All those in favor of Commissioner Abley's motion signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. The next item is item number 5, approval of meeting minutes. Gentlemen, the minutes for November 16th, 2021, Board of Commissioners regular meeting, December 6th, 2021, Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting, and December 21st, 2021, Board of Commissioners regular meeting were previously sent out for review. Gentlemen, are there any corrections to the minutes? And if not, do we have a motion to accept as presented?
Mr. Chairman, I move that all 3 of the meeting agendas be approved as rendered.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Moving on to presentations. We just have one presentation tonight, but it is for our Pets of the Month. This will be presented by Caitlin Suttlemeyer, our Animal Services Director. How are you? Who do we have here?
We're doing well. So I've got 2 friends tonight. I did bring Miss Elizabeth as well. She's our coordinator with the shelter. I wanted to kind of show her the ropes because she may be doing a few presentations. But we brought Barney this evening. We don't have many cats left in the shelter because we have a big transport going out on Thursday, so I don't have many adoptable cats right now. So we were going to highlight Mr. Barney. Barney actually came to us. He was actually part of an animal cruelty investigation. So this was Barney whenever he first arrived at the shelter. Yes, this is the same dog. So we quickly placed Barney in a foster home, and he was actually passed around through our Human Resources Department with Burke County. Yay to them. So this is Barney now, and he is absolutely perfect. we are currently working on a appointment to get him neutered. That's what he lacks right now, but he is fully vaccinated. He's absolutely perfect. He's been through a lot in his little life. So he does do well with other pets, but just kind of given the trauma in his life, he does resource guard a little bit what is his, just because he was without for a little while, so he is a little protective of his food, of his toys, and of his people. But he can definitely learn if somebody is patient to be able to share a home with other animals and thrive in that setting. So he does play well with them, but whenever it comes to his certain person, he is a little protective. But that's to be expected, just kind of given his past. So this is Barney. He is looking for his forever home. So if anybody's willing to take on this task, he is down at Animal Services. You guys are more than welcome to come. Take him home for a few weeks, try him out, see if he's a good fit, and then if everything's working out, you're more than welcome to adopt him. So that is Barney's story. It's kind of heartwarming, and I know everybody wants to love on Barney now. And he said, I know how to sit. Good boy. Say, I've learned a few things. So that's Mr. Barney. If anybody is interested in helping us out, we do have other cruelty investigations, other animals that definitely need a foster to crash in. We have some injured animals who need a place to heal and recover in before they can be adoption ready. So if you have questions about fostering, about adoptions, any assistance you may need, give us a call, come visit us, come see our facility. It's beautiful, and we do the best we can with what we've got. So, but this is our address, our phone number, and our email address if anybody wants to contact us through.
How old is Barney?
Barney's 2, and I think he would look great on your couch.
Take my place, would he?
Any other questions for Caitlin? I have one St. Patty's Day outfit. What does that look like? I saw the other one.
Oh, we'll have to bring him back
After
for that.
Thursday, I mean, yeah, he's got to have some green.
We'll take a picture and post it on our Facebook.
Absolutely. Well, thank y'all very much, Elizabeth. Thanks for coming as well.
Thanks. I don't know. Okay.
It's a very happy puppy. All right, gentlemen, we'll move on to item number 7, scheduled public hearings. We have one tonight that will be presented by Ellen Glines. This will be for Community Development Zoning Map Amendment ZMA 2022-01 and public hearing.
Thank you, Chairman Mulvey, members of the commission, members of the public. For your consideration and review this evening is the rezoning application from Mickey Evans to rezone one parcel totaling 1.15 acres. The property itself is next door to a business owned by Mr. Evans, and it's called Evans Construction. The site itself is adjacent to Rain Tree. And this is the second time it's been around. The first time was a Board of Commissioner review in August of 2021, after seeing the planning board at that time as well. And there's some activity that occurred on the site, but the site is currently zoned R2 residential. So the business on Rain Tree is actually zoned general business. And that address is 2646 Rain Tree Street. This is kind of where the existing business is right now, and this is the parcel being considered for rezoning. This is an existing land use map, so the areas in white are actually vacant parcels, and the areas in pale yellow are single-family residential areas, and this is land use. They've got it coded as industrial because of the activity there. Oops. There we go. There's an aerial. In 2018 is when this photo was taken, and the area was pretty much wooded at that time, and since then it's been cleared. But the site again is here in red. surrounding mostly residential areas through here. There's some larger tracts of land that are undeveloped. There's some, single wides, double wides, and many single-family homes. For Burke County, this is a predominantly high-density residential area, and his other business has been there for quite some time. Those two corner lots are really the only non-residential in the whole area. And then surrounding areas are R2 residential, R3. I'm going to change that map to show you. R2 in that area, R3, which is another residential district, the general business, as I pointed out, and industrial on the corner, the purple one. So I want to show you the future land use map for this area. So we use, as a future land use map, we use the Burke County's 2016-2030 Blueprint Burke Plan. The subject parcel is located in the Rural Agricultural District. This designation is given to all areas of the county which are not designated as either a primary growth or secondary growth areas. And those are really focused on the highway corridors and the townships in the county here. So this is kind of in between those areas. The rural agricultural area is typically considered rural in nature, but may allow a variety of other land uses. It's true. The non-residential uses, though, are typically limited by infrastructure and utilities, and are also encouraged to minimize their impacts on residential surrounding areas. Okay. As I said, the current zoning shows this parcel is R2. The applicant wishes to establish a contractor storage yard on the back side of that property, and it has its own access of Ashton Drive there to that tract itself. A few years ago, I guess maybe about 2007, this was part of a minor subdivision, so it created a new street with 45-foot right-of-way and 4 lots. Mr. Evans purchased 2 of the lots at the very back and recombined them into the configuration we are considering tonight. He would like to use this to store equipment and materials on the site that support his paving business, and it's sort of like asphalt recycling, concrete recycling, that kind of stuff. There is, as you see with this map, adjacent residential zoning, a lot of single-family dwellings. So this expansion happened, and the staff were made aware of it through a code enforcement violation call into the county, and so the staff at community development followed through, and so this has created the application today. The thing about a general district designation request like this, if it went to general business, is that there's a variety of other uses that could happen there, including retail and lots of other activities, and there's not any real way to limit those other uses in the future should it be approved. So that would be a consideration. The staff were asked about, over time, what about the traffic on Ashton Drive? It's partially gravel and partially paved near the road, the DOT road. And there would be some new traffic here. It could be traffic from trucks and other things, but it's not a paved road all the way through. Typically, we get screening between a commercial use and a residential use in those kind of properly zoned areas. And there have been some landscaping added to the, I would say it's on the west side here, kind of here in this area here, but there's nothing on this side at this point. So that was done to try to help the current activity comply with zoning codes, which require either landscaping or a fence be placed. And the fence would be an opaque fence, so it would sort of block the view from neighbors of the activity in the commercial use. There are setbacks required for buildings, but since there's not really a structure on the site, that doesn't apply. And so those activities of material and storage are kind of happening right at the edge of the property corners. And the neighbors who have written some of them have expressed some concerns about that activity there and what it would do to their property. And I believe some of those folks might be here to comment on this during the public comment period. The planning board did review this request for a second time on January 27th, 2022. Last year, about middle of the year, they did review it, and when they considered it, at the time they supported it. So they supported it with a vote of 4-2. It's a split vote. It came to the commission meeting, and it was denied later that year with a vote of 2-1 to deny. So the application's come back. In January 27th, the planning board reviewed it again, and they considered the application anew, and there was a number of folks speaking for it and some against it. And some of the neighbors were concerned, and they shared that concern. At the end, the vote, a motion was made to deny the request, and that passed 5-1. So it's a split vote again, but this time recommended denial to you all. That's the summary of the case. I'm happy to answer any questions for you if you have any for me.
Gentlemen, we've had this information presented to us on several occasions, especially pre-agenda. At this point, is there any other further questions or comments for Alan?
Should have showed these photos, and I apologize for that. Let me show you those.
One question that I did not get answered. The road into that property, who donated the land for the road? Was that from, which property donated the road?
What I would say is when whoever owned the property, I think it's about 2007, they owned everything right through here. So when they established this minor subdivision, they donated that property to create a new road. And so all the lots were either accessed on the left side of that little the little road, or at the very end. And at the very end, I don't think I included that original plat, but that was generated or provided for by that property owner when they subdivided.
So who maintains the road?
It's private. It's by the owners through that area. That's how that works. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
That's that landscaping I was pointing out on the west side of the track.
Can you show that road, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Can you show that road a little better?
A little better. This is, well, see, what do we have here? We have going into the site. This is sort of adjacent to that, looking to the right. And that's the back side of the track here that's on Raintree. This area here is that existing business. I don't know if I've got the full read. Let me back up just a little more. This is a house directly adjacent to that site. And this is a neighboring area here. And that's, let me have a look here. Our site here is just to the right of this fence, but it's a gravel road, kind of goes this way. I apologize, we don't have one up and down the road. There's about 25 feet of pavement where it joins Eichard Road. And so as it goes in, it turns to gravel, and that gravel, it maintains gravel all the way down into the site itself.
All right, I see the gravel road. What about the paved road? Where's it go?
Paved road is just the beginning, at the very beginning of the site.
Okay.
At Eichard Road, now there could be some paving. Let me see here. This is the private lot, so a portion of that lot is paved, where Mr. Evans has his construction business. Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Alan? All right, thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
At this point, I will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone present that would like to speak to this item?
Mr. Chairman, I have two speakers that have pre-registered.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Terry Swanson.
I'll see these pictures. Do I
Sure.
hand them to you?
Are you handing that out now?
Yes, thank you.
Is there one for everyone or just?
No, it was just one, I'm sorry. Didn't have the, oh, okay. That's, okay. Sorry. My name is Terry Swanson, and I'm here tonight to ask the board to deny Mr. Evans's request. I live in the brick house that it showed that is directly beside of where this has been happening. When the initial request was heard last June, it was voted 2-1 to deny, and the planning board voted 5-1 to deny. Since the initial request, Mr. Evans hasn't done anything differently except to plant Leland cypress trees around the portion of the fence. He also continues to do business even after it's been denied a couple of times. I have given you photos showing the work is still going on, and have made calls to Burke County to let them know that it's still going on. We had to live through it last year when there were 25-foot piles of asphalt there and constant 3 and 4 trucks at a time. George Gregg had filed a zoning request about 13 years ago to the lot that my house sits on to have it zoned as business so he could park extra trailers there. That request was denied. He planted Leland cypress. That request was denied because of the extra traffic on the roads and because it was a residential area. They didn't want business in there. That should be a precedence for me when I bought the house or when I put my house there, that nothing else would be there because George had already been denied his request. The property in question is surrounded on 3 sides by other people's homes. I only learned in the last meeting that one of the places was on industrial. That business has old trucks sitting around it, but it doesn't do day-to-day business where big trucks are rolling in and out, beating, banging, clanging, that I can hear inside my house when I'm doing work meetings. I can be sitting on my computer with my headset on and hear the trucks backing up, beeping and clanging their truck beds. My house is in the first half of the land that we bought. The second half we had allocated for my daughter and son-in-law to build. They finally saved enough to where they were going to do that. They don't want to have this beside of them. It's very unattractive. Even with the Leland cypress, the dust comes over, the noise comes over, the smells come over. The Leland cypress didn't do anything. Right now, that lot generates Burke County about $100, $150 a year. If she puts her house on it, that would go to probably $3,000 a year. So that would be a much better, more attractive offer for Burke County. Also, if the lot is left residential and a house goes on the lot that Mr. Evans is talking about, that would generate more revenue for the county. Mr. Evans himself presented one of the best reasons I've heard of why the commission shouldn't vote for this in the planning committee meeting. When he said that he needed the space because his drivers have nearly ran over each other going in and out. They're moving in and out so fast that they really truly have almost had wrecks, almost hit each other, which to me was an argument, again, that, I mean, there's kids, there's dogs in that area. We don't need those trucks going in and out like that. The Akron Road, Hiss Road, has a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. One of the pictures that I showed you shows that there's a little curve and a little knoll, and you can't see around it when you're coming in from Burger King towards where Mr. Evans' paving is. A regular car, there have been some wrecks there. His trucks, as far as I know, haven't been involved, but it's just an accident waiting to happen. They don't stop as fast as cars, and you can't see. The 2 driveways that are closer than mine are very close to where that little knoll is. Mr. Evans would lead you to believe he only wants to use this slot for the overflow of his business. We've already seen what he will use it for if he needs it, and there is absolutely no restrictions that can be placed on it. He could put another 25-foot pile of debris there tomorrow if it's zoned, just like he did before. With that, I had to take my grandsons in from the outside. They would cough and their eyes would burn because of the debris. There would be dust rolling in. We couldn't enjoy our backyard. In conclusion, I want to tell you that I think it's a bad decision for Burke County to approve this request. Number one, because it lowers the tax value on the land. They can't make as much money. I think it's a bad decision for the neighborhood as it's disruptive and possibly dangerous for the residents. The board already denied the request once, and I would ask them to do it again. At the last meeting, one board member said he was a friend of the Evans family and had known Mickey since he was a boy. I would respectfully ask that not to come into play in this meeting tonight. If you know them, please vote on what is best for the county, not because of a relationship with the Evans family. And I beg you, each one of you has a home of your own. Please put yourself in my position. If you were trying to enjoy your yard and you were hearing this beating, banging, clanging, and had to take your children and your grandchildren inside, if you wouldn't vote to have that in your backyard, then I beg you, please don't vote to have it in mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Swanson.
Cindy Stankavage. Cindy S.
Hi, I'm Cindy Stankavage. My mother was just speaking. I don't have everything written out like she did, but she does end up keeping my children a whole lot. So it's a big concern for me, even before we were going to build. My children, I'm the only child, so they're the only grandchildren. I'm a public health nurse for Catawba County, work in the school system, and with the COVID response, have worked crazy hours. I've been at work till 8 o'clock at night sometimes. And so my mom has stepped in and really helped my husband and I with our children. The trailer that was shown that is literally right in front of that fence on Ashton Drive is a rental property. One of my best friends is renting a home there, and she has 3 children now. She just gave birth, but one of them's the age of my children, and so my children go back and forth from my mom's house to that house. So you've got kids that are running in and out. My children are 6 and about to be 8. Her child is, one of her children, the one that plays with mine, is 8. She also has a newborn. And I mean, I came over during the summer, try to use the pool. You would see, like, they would dump, and when they would dump, you would hear the clanging and beating, but then also piles of, like, dust and debris would come up in the air. I plan on building a farmhouse there that will be at least $350,000. We had a contractor out in May, right before COVID hit last year, and all this started happening. And we've kind of just been waiting to see what the board's going to decide, because we don't want to put a $350,000, $400,000 house, our dream home, right beside the mess. And I mean, it is a mess, and it's something that nobody would want in their yard. It's something that we didn't ever picture having to deal with. My husband was in the Marine Corps, so we moved away for several years, and when we came back so that my parents could be involved with my children and get that time with them. So for us, it's really emotional, because I want to raise my children with a village, and we have that there to where we could build right behind my parents. They could walk back and forth, share family dinners together, but then who wants their house right beside of the beating, banging, clanging? Who wants their kids, walking back and forth and being risked, by the dump trucks and all that? And you can see in one of the pictures, I don't have access to go back, but I wish I could have pointed it out to you guys, where the trees are, where you were showing the trees around the property. You can actually see my boy's trampoline in the picture. See that blue thing right there in the corner? That's my boy's trampoline. So that shows you how much that it blocks.
Is that it right there?
Yeah, it doesn't block. You can see the trampoline with the basketball goal. And that is minimal. That was after, people started coming out and complaining. Those things were stacked way higher than the fence with gravel and dirt. And he says he doesn't intend to put it back that way. But as it's been pointed out, there are no stipulations. You can't say you can do it, but you can't do this. Once it's zoned industrial, he can do whatever he wants with it. So if he wants to put 30-foot piles of asphalt and dirt back there again, he can do that. And while his business generates quite a bit of revenue, and, he is a well-established businessman, I work for public health, so I'm, sure you guys know about what that is. And so that would take the land from me that I always thought that I would have to build my home on. And it's just a really big setback for us as a family, and, a young couple trying to get started. It's a really big setback to have to try to find new land because of all this going on. So I really ask that, you know, if you wouldn't want that in your backyard, even with the trees, it'll take years for those trees to mature and make any difference at all. And I mean, even the concrete blocks, it's zoned residential right now, and look how nasty that looks. Would any of you guys want that on your property or right directly beside of your property? So I just feel like if you wouldn't want that, it's not fair to vote to pass this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stankavage. Thank you.
That's all the cards I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak?
Well, if I heard that and didn't know the truth, I'd vote against it too. I'm Mickey Evans, president of Evans Construction. We're a third generation asphalt paving and grading company that has been in Burke County at the same location for 52 years. Our hours are 7:30 to 4, Monday through Friday. And during that 52 years, we've never had a complaint of any of our neighbors. We're wanting to rezone the property we purchased next to us to park equipment on. It has become a safety issue for our employees because in the mornings you got equipment moving around and people are in and out, and it's hard to coordinate all that, and people are trying to watch trucks and this and that. And it's not that big of a deal, but we do have some safety issues. And all of our employees have signed a petition here that says that they would like for this to be rezoned. I have 12 employees. And I might add, they're all Burke County residents from all over the county, if anyone wants to see it. Of course, this is the second time I've been before the commissioners. The first time was in August 21, I think that has been brought out. There were only 3 commissioners, and it's voted down 2-1. And I feel like that the decision was based on one landowner's complaints. I was concerned about that. I thought, well, is everybody around me thinking that? If it is, I'll just drop it. So I began to go talk to the other property owners that are joining the property, and I asked them, do you have a problem with me getting this parcel of land rezoned? And I didn't have anyone opposed to rezoning. In fact, we had a lot of positive comments about the company. And I've got 29 people or neighbors. Everybody else, with all the property around, have signed this petition, says they're not got a problem with it. 29. I guess one of the complaints the landowner, Scott, is about the asphalt milling pile that was there that was temporarily stored there. And since then, I've bought another piece of property that I'm storing the millings on now. So that's not an issue because one thing, it's not enough room, and I'm trying to get a place where we have enough room to store all of the asphalt millings. There's nothing harmful about it. It's just asphalt, ground up asphalt. Also, the lady's daughter mentioned that she was going to build a house. Well, we try to be good neighbors, and there's houses all around our property, and people have signed that they've not got a problem with it. So if she does build a house, we'll try to be as respectful as we can, And I've got all the property owners on Ashton Drive are here with me to support me, and my son back there, he's the 3rd generation. So basically Ashton Drive is a right-of-way for everybody to use. That's not in question. I can still go in and out there right-of-way. But there's not that much traffic. There's not that much traffic coming in and out, really. And today I seen kids and people walking up down Raintree Street, which is a street in front of our building. They were walking up and down the street just like a walking path. So, it's not a lot of traffic, and we've been there for over 50 years, and we've never had an issue with anybody. If the commissioners want to see these, you're welcome to it.
Could I just ask the gentleman, does he live on the property?
Sir?
You live on the property?
No, I don't live on the property. I live about 2 miles away.
Thank you.
Can I speak again? I've got something to add to that.
Do we have any other speakers? We do have one. So no more speakers on this subject? At this point, I think we've got all the information that we need, gentlemen. I'm going to close the public hearing at this point. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I have several questions, examples, et cetera, that I would like to present before a vote. You were going to let the commissioners have comments.
Well, we had questions and comments beforehand to Alan. Yeah, Alan got up and spoke, and we had our opportunity to ask the questions and make comments at that point.
So you better follow your agenda, Chief.
Yeah, we had that opportunity beforehand. So, gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Point of order. Your agenda says, receive report from Alan, open floor for questions,
Which we
open
did,
public hearing.
and we did do the public hearing. Now I close the public hearing, and I'm asking the commissioners, what is the pleasure of the board?
You're supposed to receive comments before you ask the pleasure of the board.
We received questions and comments at the beginning.
You received from the public, not
No.
from the board.
Alan,
Clerk, could you correct him?
our county attorney, did we not receive an opportunity for questions and comments from Alan at the beginning?
Yes, there was an opportunity.
Yes, thank you. So, gentlemen, we've got the information.
JR, how did you answer that? Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
I said there was an opportunity for questions at the beginning.
Did you look at the agenda, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, I did.
What does it say? Open public hearing. He closed public hearing and he asked for a vote. It says receive comments. Somebody needs to be able to read.
Actually, it says close the public hearing when it finished, and then the motion for either way, denying or accepting. If you go up a little above that, Commissioner Taylor, you'll see the presentation, receive report from Alan, and open the floor for questions from the commissioners. Then we went into public hearing. Thank you.
Did you hear that? No. You went straight to open session.
Gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman, I move to deny ordinance number 2022-01, amending the Burke County zoning map as it relates to ZMA 2022-01 for a 1.15 acre property, read number 59577, located at Ashton Drive from residential 2 to general business, and find that the request is inconsistent with the Blueprint Burke plan, which shows the area as rural agricultural home business area, and further find that the request is not reasonable nor in the public interest because the character of the surrounding area may be negatively affected by impacts from the current or potential uses at the site.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those that, we've heard Commissioner Britton's motion for denying. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Those against? Motion carried 4-1. Madam Clerk, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, permission for comment? There's the questions I had about this and examples.
And you had an opportunity to,
Yeah. No, I
you
did
had an
not.
opportunity
No,
to ask those on multiple occasions. You had an opportunity when Alan was up here.
No.
So, Commissioner Taylor, we're moving on. We're moving on to item number 8, informal public comments. I'll remind the public that each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Please adhere to that. And at this point, I will open the floor for informal public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers wishing to speak tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I would call Dr. Leslie Mckesson.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Leslie Mckesson, and I live on La Ferre Drive. I'm a former community college educator and administrator. I've served as adjunct faculty of education and leadership with Appalachian State and Lenore-Rhine universities. I'm currently director of diversity, equity, and inclusion for a local industrial group. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. In my current work, I'm often teaching on the premises of the courthouse square under the shadow of the Confederate monument. Since the armed incident on June 29, 2020, there has been a dramatic change. A cloud now hovers over the monument. Perhaps it's not a cloud that you, our esteemed commissioners, can see. It's a cloud of curious witnesses that emerges from storefronts to observe myself and our diverse groups of learners if we stand in front of the monument for too long. It's a cloud of cars that circle the square, studying our groups carefully. It's a cloud of onlookers that has even stopped their travel, parked their cars beside the monument, and rolled down their windows to hear what we're saying. We have noticed. How are we to interpret these acts of surveillance? Are we supposed to stay away from the monument? Do we not have the right to feel safe and unthreatened on any public municipal property that our county tax dollars support? An ongoing study yielded the following figures as of March 8, 2022. As of that date, 14 meetings of the Burke County Commission had entertained requests to address the presence of the Confederate monument on the public square. On January 19, 2021, the Commission was petitioned to remove the statue, at which time action was deferred, if I recall correctly, in anticipation of the presentation of a counter petition. At the March 2021 meeting, 120 minutes of public testimony regarding the statute was presented. Since the initial meeting in January 21, 13 additional meetings have produced another 300 minutes of discussion for a total of 420 minutes of commentary at this point. This 420-minute public record consists of at least 51 comments, of which 5 have spoken in favor of keeping the monument on the public square, and 46 or 90% have respectfully spoken in favor of removal or relocation. I think it reasonable and just, honorable commissioners, to expect that our elected officials directly engage citizen requests for removal or relocation in ways that are not dismissive, in ways that are not passive, in ways that genuinely address the concerns of citizens who want a brighter Burke County that lives up to its motto, all about advancing. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Mckesson. Madam Clerk?
Dr. Cara Sevensmith.
Good evening. I want to thank each of you for taking the time to listen and for the opportunity to speak to you tonight.
And would you please state your name and address?
Yeah, my name is Cara Sevensmith, and I live at 5097 White Rock Lane, Morganton. I'm an educator. I've served as a professor and instructor of special education and inclusion at Calvin University and Appalachian State University. Today, I want to share with you 3 questions that I ask all my future teachers to consider anytime they enter a shared space, whether that be a classroom or a courthouse square. In that space, I encourage them to pause and look closely at everything, and then ask themselves, who is valued, who is welcomed, and who belongs? And then I share this story. One crisp fall morning, I was volunteering at a university for freshman drop-off day. And if you haven't had that experience, it's one that's filled with emotion and celebration for families. The dorm I was serving at was a beautiful 3-story building that had undergone recent renovations, including a stunning new glass vestibule showing off the stairs at the southern entrance. Within the sea of incoming freshmen was a family that caught my eye. Piled high with belongings, they were talking to the move-in coordinator. And I knew from a distance that something was clearly wrong, but I figured they were in good hands. 5 minutes later, that family, loaded down with gear, returned to the south entrance. And my heart broke in two as I watched that young man's father lower himself out of his wheelchair and crawl hand over hand up 3 flights of stairs, dragging his legs behind him. You see, his son was assigned to a 3rd-floor room, and to take part in the joy of that day, he had to get to the 3rd floor. In this beautiful space, there was no elevator despite the renovations. As a father, he was unwilling to miss out on this moment for his son, and so he crawled. To this day, I feel the harm that space caused that man and his family and everyone who was a witness, and I cringe at the message of exclusion it sent to everyone. That message about the university and who they valued, who they welcomed, and who belonged could not be undone. I'm here to tell you that in our beautiful historic courthouse square, with all of its renovations, the Confederate monument has the same effect as those stairs. It sends a powerful message. It inflicts hurt on members of our community, and that hurt may not be as visible, but if you listen to the voices in this community speaking out for removal of the monument, you will know that hurt is just as real. At the heart of our beautiful county, we can do better than this. We can remove the monument. We can use our shared space to tell each and every citizen of Burke County that they are valued, they are welcomed, and they do belong. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mike Logan.
Mike Logan, live on 110 Keeler Street, Morganton. I was kind of reluctant to come here and still hesitant. Pastor George, and I believe Ms. Caroline Avery, and others have spoke before the commission. I said, what could I say? What could I do to say anything? And possibly my last time speaking, really. But I spoke several years ago during the pandemic, and I spoke on this thing. Before I do that, but I grew up in a society, in a culture where it was separated. I went to an old black school. It wasn't by choice. It was by force, maybe. It was doing segregation. And later on, we integrated. And I'm gonna make some quick bullet points here, real quick. But when we integrated, we had some challenges there, a lot of challenges there. But I remember one time, us kids, we were on the playground, and there was this white gentleman. He walked upon us, and we looked up and said, what did we do wrong? He looked at his kids. He said, boys, matter of fact. He said, do you want to play baseball? We looked, we was kind of shocked. Play baseball? He said, do this, go home and tell your parents that you want to play baseball. So we told our parents, yeah, we're going to play baseball. But one thing about this gentleman, in our area where we were raised, this gentleman was criticized. He was talked about. And said, why would you put these kids on that baseball team? along with us. They criticized us and they said a lot of words. But I admire this coach. He had something about him. It was courage. It was his faith. And we talked about it earlier, we talked about a kingdom agenda. He had a kingdom agenda. But he put us on the team, and guess what happened later on? Everybody formed us out because this one man had the faith enough to stand up and say, "Cat, do you want to play baseball?" 2 years ago, before the pandemic, I got my time here. I spoke to you. I'm a veteran. I spent 33 years in the military. Regular Army, National Guards, and the Reserves. I'm a Vietnam era veteran, and I served in Afghanistan. That's the first time I spoke to you. The statue up here, I'm a veteran. I'm not against that soldier up there. Not against it at all. I'm not there. I can't say that. But what I'm against is the cause of that statue there. I wish I had more time, but I got to say this too. There's a small percentage of Southerners actually own slaves. Matter of fact, there are 360,000 slave owners out of 5.6 million Southerners white, according to the 1860 census, that own slaves. And we talked about, also I talked about rape the last time I talked about you. And I want to hear the definition of what the UN saying about human trafficking. This is the definition of the UN philosophy of human trafficking. I want you to relate it back to slavery. UN defines human trafficking as recruitment, transportation, transferring, harboring, or receipt of people through force, fraud, or deception with the aim of exploiting them for profit.
Mr. Logan, I'm going to have to thank you for your comments and your service at this point. We've gone a good bit over time, but
Okay,
we'd love to have you come back.
But I had to put that out there.
Yes, sir.
There's more.
Yes,
Again,
please come back and speak.
Naomi Smith.
Good to see you again. I'm Naomi Smith. I live at 104 Englewood Drive. I've been thinking about the war that's happening right now in Ukraine with Putin coming in. And I thought about if Putin decided, I think we should erect statues, no-name statues of our soldiers in every city that we take. I think that would be very hard to swallow, would it not? That we're going to put up a statue of our soldiers in every city that we take. I think the world would have an outcry about that. I don't think that's very different from the no-name soldier that stands in the middle of our city. I think it's easy to hide behind a statute and a law. But I want you to remember that from the 1600s until really 1865, and even beyond, there were lots of laws that would be so grievous to us if we had them today. Laws about slaves not being able to get an education, slaves not being able to get married, slaves not being able just to do really anything except work in the fields, in the house, raise the master's family's children, make life better for the master and for the culture, the American culture of freedom. We put up a soldier to honor a Confederate soldier who fought for the right to make the life of whites better. And yet, there has been no honor given to the lives of those people who made life better. This country really was built by the hard work and by the sacrifice of lives, death, split families, children taken away. It was built by the life of those slaves. We're not even thinking about a way to honor them. We're just thinking about how to honor in a really, honestly, a really selfish way. And I think if we begin to really take that in, I asked the Lord just recently, show me what I can't see about myself. Show me what I can't see that might be hurting someone else. Gentlemen, I'd ask you to have a conversation with the Lord, because I believe that most of you up here have conversations with him at some point. Ask him, is there anything that I, as an honorable leader in this city and in this county, that I am participating in that is not hurting Naomi, but hurting even my own?
Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Miss Kelly Surratt.
Good evening, commissioners. It's good to see you again. Tonight, I want to address you honoring your position as commissioners, but to say, I believe I look in the faces of some family. I believe that some of you are probably my brothers, and I'm your sister. So tonight, I just want to talk to you as your sister. And I want to say to you guys, you have a tremendous opportunity to fight for the family. We stand for love. The only way the world knows what family we belong to is by our love. That's it. That's the only way. And I'm reminded of favor that I had with a president of a nation who had a really hard decision to make. But you know what he did? He fought for the family. And he shifted a nation, and they came into alignment with Israel. I'm looking in the faces of some men that I believe are courageous, some men that I believe really do care about the family, some men that say, I put my allegiance to the family before anything else. And that matters most. And so what I would say to you guys is, what would it look like to offer the opportunity for some conversation? What would it look like to use your influence to honor the one who matters the most? What would it look like to stare opposition in the face and say, together we're choosing to slay Goliath? What would it look like to say we choose to not just have an idea of community, but to learn to be community? I challenge you tonight as my brothers, Mr. Carswell, Mr. Britton, Mr. Moley, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Abley. Will we together fight for the family? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ratt.
Pastor George Logan.
Good evening. And again, I appreciate you all and appreciate your service to this county. And I know there's a lot of things that you all do that we have no idea, the difficulties and the challenges you all face and have to make decisions on. So I affirm you in that and thank you for that. And what I'd like to say to you, and I'm sure most of you have heard of the golden rule, which is love one another as you would love yourself, and do unto others as you would do unto yourself, as you would have them do unto you. And so I want to ask you all the question, what is it about the Confederate monument with the soldier on top that fits that golden rule? Is it the reminder of a time when blacks were not considered human, but instead property? Is it the reminder that blacks were displaced from their families, all the way from Africa where many of them were stolen from their families, and here in the United States, where many of them were violently taken and ripped away from their families. Is the Golden Rule representative of the Confederate Monument as a reminder of the physical, the sexual, the mental, the emotional abuse that took place under the banner of the South and the Confederacy and slavery? I want to quote Frederick Douglass here, who says in his narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, he says, "I deem it proper to append the following brief explanation. What I have said respecting and against religion, I mean strictly to apply to the slaveholding religion of the land, and with no possible reference to Christianity proper. For between the Christianity of this land and the Christianity of Christ, I recognize the widest possible difference, so wide that to receive one as good, pure, and holy is of necessity to reject the other as bad, corrupt, and wicked. To be the friend of one is of necessity to be the enemy of the other. I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the corrupt, slave-holding, women-whipping, cradle-plundering, partial and hypocritical Christianity of this land. Indeed, I can see no reason but the most deceitful one for calling the religion of the land Christianity." And so I say this, and as Kelly said earlier, I think I'm amongst brothers. I really do. And if so, does that Confederate monument fit within all that we know about the Golden Rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Pastor Logan.
Carla Kincaid.
Good evening, Carla Kincaid, 1276 NC Highway 126, in the community of Oak Hill, Morganton. I had a chance and opportunity over the past couple of weeks to travel to Myrtle Beach and didn't realize that Charleston was so close to Myrtle Beach. So I decided to take a trip down. I am an AME. I've been an AME all my life in the church. And I did my first visit to Emmanuel AME Church. Of course, you know, that's what kicked off really the symbols of the Confederacy being a big issue. And I guess in the past it's been a struggle too, and something we've been working on forever. But I would just like to say that as we travel, as I travel a lot, and as I went down in the back roads to South Carolina, I couldn't help for just thinking as you travel the roads, what could have possibly happened here? What could have possibly happened there? And as I traveled down, of course, I stood in front of the church. A lot of things came to my mind. Of course, Cleveland County did, because that's where Ruth was captured and very next door to us. And I think I brought this up before. But in addition to that, as I traveled back, I met on the side of a road, there were people who were selling baskets, and you have that all throughout Charleston. And as I went in the store, a little shack, it was a little shack, and there were two people there. And the man actually apologized for his language. And I told him there's no need to apologize. He was from Sierra Leone, and the lady was from Nigeria. And I told him that I really, really respect him a lot, because in connection with slavery, which is connected to Confederacy, another thing that was taken was our language. And I told the brother, I said, don't ever apologize for the way you speak, because I admire it. Because our ancestors' language was taken. Well, the privilege that Hispanics have now, that they can come and speak freely and use their language. But I thought that was something I would like to share with you, is our journey. And that's happened throughout a lot of places. You always have that as you travel, and I do travel a lot, and I do have memories and have questions, and a lot of things come to my mind as travel, which goes back. And I hope that we can come to a conclusion that we can draw on a historical memory to facilitate community unity when it comes to hopefully removing the statue from the county seat of Morganton. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kincaid.
Mr. Gene Googe?
Thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak here at the Burke County Commissioners meeting. My name is Gene Googe, and I live at 2300 Liberty Church Road in Hickory, North Carolina. I've been a citizen of Burke County, probably about 38 years, pastored one church, same church for 40 years. And I want to speak simply on the subject of the communist takeover of the Ukraine. I know we've all seen the news. I know we've seen the pictures, we've seen the death, we've seen the destruction, the pain, and probably everyone here, we'd all stand and say our hearts go out to all the people there in Ukraine. But my greatest concern is not the communist takeover of Ukraine, but the communist takeover of America. America's in danger. North Carolina is in danger. Burke County is in danger. The critical race theory being taught in our public schools, the pornography, pure pornography on the shelves in our schools, public schools, that if I was to read from, you gentlemen would shut me down because of the vulgarity and the filth of it. And the teachers that are recommending these books. I had 2 young teenage girls in my church that their teacher recommended these books. And all of this is a part of the communist takeover of this country, North Carolina and Burke County. And we must take a stand. We must fight back. We must take a stand for the truth. The Bible says a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. It doesn't take a whole lot. Just a little bit here, a little bit there, and before you know it, then we're in the same mess that a lot of other countries are in. The removing, the rethinking, the rewriting of our American history, the removing of our ancient landmarks, statues, rewriting American history by saying America was founded on racism and upon slavery and upon hate or white supremacy. All of this is a part of the communist takeover of this country. The Bible says, Proverbs 22, verse number 28, one of the commandments of the Lord, remove not the ancient landmark. Those ancient landmarks is a part of our history. History means everything. We learn from history. If we don't learn from history, then we just repeat the same mistakes over again. I've been to China. I've been to Vietnam. I've been to communist countries. I've been to Cuba 3 times, 4 times. And I've seen the sugarcane fields. I've seen the prisons. I could tell you a story, and I know my time's run out. We do not want America. We do not want North Carolina. We do not want Burke County to be taken over by communism.
Thank you, Mr. Googe.
Thank you.
That's all the cards I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will now close the informal public comments. We'll move on to item number 9, gentlemen. This will be presented by our County Manager, Brian Steen, the consent agenda. Brian?
Thank you, gentlemen. You have 12 items on your consent agenda. Number 1, BDI modification to economic development grant for Zero Delta. Number 2, BOC, joint resolution dissolving the Industrial Facilities and Pollution Finance Authority. Item 3, clerk, appointments to Adult Care / Nursing Home Committee. Item 4, clerk, appointments, removal to the Board of Health. Item 5, county manager, amendment to the deed for the History Museum of Burke County Incorporated. Item 6, community development, watermill access, temporary easement agreement. Item 7, finance, lease with BDI for office space. Item 8, fire marshal, contracts for fire protection services. Item 9, fire marshal, contract for rescue services. Item 10, partners health management financial reports for the period ending June 30th, 2021 and December 31st, 2021. And we actually have in the audience here our representatives Rhett and Katie, if they have some comments they'd like to address the board.
Please come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for a chance just to give you a comment about the context of the financial reports that you receive from partners. I think it's important that we make sure that you're informed about the environment that's going on within the Medicaid transformation system, because it affects a large number of the residents and the citizens of the county, and also some of your key agencies, Department of Social Services, Health Department, and others. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware that the Medicaid transformation in North Carolina continues, and it affects partners in a significant way. You'll recall that the state took the Medicaid population and they said we're going to create 2 plans, a standard plan and a tailored plan. The standard plan launched with the commercial managed care companies back last June. Think about Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, and those. Those manage the Medicaid population for Burke County citizens now for the majority of those members that never been managed before. So now a Medicaid recipient in North Carolina has to go through and get authorization for services and that type of stuff. Partners is transitioning to become what's called a tailored plan. And what we will do is we'll be responsible for the financial reports and the information that you've received for all of these years. But in addition to that, we're also going to be responsible for managing the pharmacy and the medical cost of those same individuals. That starts in December. And I say that just again to make sure that commissioners are aware of the magnitude of the change that's going on within the Medicaid program, because it does affect so many of the citizens. In addition to the tailored plan, there's another plan that's being talked about. It's called the Medicaid Direct. So everybody in North Carolina, everybody in Burke County within the Medicaid program will be under managed care. A big part of that will be with partners. So as we come before you in the future and we have different reports, you'll hear a different type of comment, because our scope of responsibilities is significantly greater for those members. But our partnerships with your key agencies, again, Department of Social Services and others, is not. I wanted to make mention of one thing. You've probably received invitations to join us in the coming couple of weeks for just an opportunity to have conversations with you, commissioners and county managers across all of our 14 counties. So we'll dive deeper into those conversations, anything that you have. And I know Commissioner Britton, this Thursday at our board meeting, we're going to dive deeper with our board. So if there's any further information, if you would like more updates, more frequent updates, more again, more deeper dive into what the changes are, we'd be glad to come at whatever convenience you would like for us to do that, or whatever format is convenient for you to get you that information. I just wanted to let you know that the change is here, and we're here to work in partnership with you for the citizens of Burke County.
Thank you, Mr. Melton.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if it's all right, I'll go ahead and continue with the rest of the consent agenda and finish that up for you.
Sure.
Item 11, Tax Department Tax Collection Report for February 2022. And item 12, Tax Department Release Refund Report for February 2022. That concludes your consent agenda, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Gentlemen, you've heard the...
Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor, signify with uplifted hand. Those opposed? All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on to items for decision. Item number 10. First one under items for decision is finance resolutions appointing interim tax administrator and new tax administrator, presented by Margaret Pierce, our Deputy County Manager and Finance Director.
My cohort in crime. He's going to do the settlement portion, and I'll do the resolution portion, if that's all right, gentlemen. Danny, one last time.
One last time. Well, with my retirement, one of the requirements from General Statute 105373 is that we do a settlement report for the year before the new person takes place. So I broke this down into sections. I said section 1 is property tax, and this is county only, and I'll just go over the basics on it. When we look at property tax collected, we're looking at a total between current and delinquent of $45,494,322.34, leaving an uncollected balance of a little over $2.3 million. When we look at the other things that we collect for, advertisement fee, garnishment, landfill user fee, those items there, we've got a total of $48,523,589.25. Uncollected is a little over $2.9 million. We go on to section 2 is the vehicle tax for the county only. We've collected $21,202.06 in interest and $3,793,592.71 in tax. Section 3, we also collect, as you know, for the 5 municipalities and all the fire districts. So we have tax collections in the amount of $4,965,087.23, leaving an uncollected balance of a little over $300,000. If I look at taxes and tags and charges for the other jurisdictions, we have vehicle tax of a little over $1.2 million, interest of a little over $7,000, vehicle fees, which City of Hickory charges $400, vehicle fees that City of Morganton charges $183,520 for a total of a little over $1.4 million. I respectfully request the County Board of Commissioners to accept this report as settlement for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending yesterday, March 14th, 2022. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, gentlemen? If not, we have a motion on this specific item.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the tax settlement report as presented by Danny Eisenhower, this current tax administrator, through March the 14th, 2022. And present Danny with the...
So, gentlemen, you heard the motion by Commissioner Britton. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand.
Mr. Chairman, just a second there. That's not on your agenda, is it?
Yeah, it's item number 1 under items for decision.
That says resolution appointing an interim tax administrator.
That's next.
I didn't get,
Yeah, it was in
I
an
didn't
email.
get the information.
Yeah, it was, here, I'll give you mine. I've got an extra.
We just approved everything through tax department, and you've got a,
That's right there. So we're just accepting the end report from Commissioner Britton's motion. And so,
when was this circulated, Madam Clerk?
When was the note circulated?
We're supposed to get this 2 days in advance of a meeting. I don't have, it wasn't on my printout stuff that I printed off Monday.
Andy, would you like to address that?
May I make a comment, Commissioner Taylor? The general statute says that I have to submit a final statement of taxes collected before I leave. So whenever we did the pre-agenda, I made a note of this, and it was going to be through yesterday so that I could present it today. That's the reason that you just got those, because I just did those figures today. But it's sort of something that's going to go beyond your typical rules of 2 days just because it's general statute.
And the time constraints, it limits Danny to when he has to do that, and it's really a formality.
Yes.
It's a formality, but the board has to take action on it, and the rules apply when you take an action. Second mistake today.
Okay. Well, once again, we've heard the motion. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand again, please. Those opposed? 5-0.
Thanks, Joe.
And if you'll stay just a minute, I think we wanted to just say a few words, thank Danny for his service, and I think Scott's got something he wanted to share with you.
Actually, my vice chair, Johnny Carswell, has something to present to you.
Amy, if you'll just kind of come over here to this side so we can get to this microphone right here. It's in front of us. Never mind. Miss Kay says I'm going to go to this microphone right here. Let's just bring it down. It's up in my hand. I will follow.
Is it on? Scott?
Try it now.
Check 1, 2.
Let me try that. I believe that got it right there. Okay. All right, move in here next to me, Danny. Danny, I'm truly honored to stand here today to give you something that is very special in the state of North Carolina. On behalf of Governor Roy Cooper, reposing special confidence in the integrity, learning, and zeal of Daniel K. Eisenhower, I do by these presents confer the Order of the Longleaf Pine with the rank of Ambassador, extraordinary privilege to enjoy fully all rights granted to members of this entitled order, among which is the special privilege to propose the following North Carolina toast in select company anywhere in the free world. Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun doth shine, where the wheat grows strong and the strong grow great. Here's to down home, the old North State, signed Governor Roy Cooper, February the 4th, 2022. Congratulations, sir. Any more pictures?
Well, any comments? Danny, you want to say any comments as well and have your family come up?
Yeah, we'll get the family next, okay?
This way. Get in there our photo.
Let's get a picture of the other commissioners.
I don't know what to say other than,
Okay, get your
family makes everything. Thing anymore.
Let's
say, I don't know what to say other than team and family means everything. And thank the various boards that I've worked for, that I've been the pleasure of serving Burke County for almost 22 years in this position. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dan. You're fine. Hold on.
Once again, we thank Danny for his service to the county all these years and his well-deserved accolades. So, and congratulations to your family. All right. We will move on to item number 2 under finance resolutions.
I think he's rung the bell on our mental health for tonight. Again, thank you, Danny, for all of his years, and we are deeply regretful and excited about his retirement. Our next portion of this is the adoption of a resolution to appoint the interim tax administrator effective March 15th of 2022 at 8 a.m. and approve the required bond. Don Hutchins will be our interim finance director until our new finance director is able to be with us on April 4th. And that will be the third piece of this, Mr. Taylor. This is retroactive to this morning because that legally allows us to collect taxes and have no gap, and everything is taken care of. So, Don, I'll read the resolution for her.
Did you mean to say finance director or?
Tax administrator, finance director. I can go too. It's cool. You want to do this one? Sorry. Sorry. Resolution appointing Don Hutchins as the Burke County interim tax administrator, collector, and assessor. Whereas NCGS 105-29 and 105-349 delegates the responsibility of appointing the county tax administrator, collector, and assessor to the Board of Commissioners. And whereas Danny Eisenhower was initially appointed by the Burke County Board of Commissioners to serve a 4-year term as Burke County Tax Administrator, Collector, and Assessor on July 1st of 2019, and he is retiring effective March 18th of 2022. And whereas North Carolina General Statute 105-294 and 105-349 require an individual to be appointed as tax collector and assessor at all times, and Don Hutchins has been selected as the interim tax administrator. Now therefore be it resolved by the Burke County Board of Commissioners that Don Hutchins is hereby appointed to serve as the Burke County interim tax administrator, collector, and assessor, retroactive to 8 a.m. on March 15th, for a term that expires on April 4th of 2022 at 8 a.m. We would request your approval of this resolution.
Questions, gentlemen? There are none. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt Resolution 2022-05 appointing Don Hutchins as interim tax administrator, tax collector, assessor, effective March the 15th, 2022 at 8 a.m. and approve the required bond.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand.
Don't tell Danny, but she's prettier than Danny.
So that is 5-0, Madam Clerk, and I'd like to thank Dawn. Thank you very much. Congratulations. We'll move on to item number 3 under this decision item.
The third portion is a resolution to appoint our new tax administrator, John Bridgers. He is here with us tonight. He happened to drive in, so please excuse that he wasn't quite ready for the meeting. I wasn't sure if he's going to be able to be here, but he is with us. John's background in education: he graduated from UNC Pembroke in 1981 with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. He then was able to do a Bachelor's of Art with a major in History and Geography from Pembroke, graduating in 1986. He then attended Appalachian State University and graduated in 1991 with a Master of Arts in Geography and Planning. He started out with the Davie County as a GIS tax mapper back in 1993, and then moved to Yadkin County as a supervisor of land records. He was there for approximately 8 years. He then went to Polk County and served as their tax assessor for 5 years from 2007 to 2012. Most recently, he has been with the North Carolina Department of State, Secretary of State in the Division of Land Records Management. He is a consultant there, land records consultant, for the past nearly 10 years, and he works closely with all counties on their land records and actually knows quite a bit of our staff already. He teaches classes through the North Carolina Property Mappers School and is highly qualified working with all of our property and records, and we're excited to welcome him. John, if you'll come up for us. John is working on getting moved here from Raleigh and will be with us one way or the other April 4th.
Yes.
So, again, if you have a spare room in your basement in case he can't find something, just let him know. We have this same resolution appointing John B. Bridgers as the Burke County Tax Administrator, Collector, and Assessor, whereas North Carolina General Statute 105-294 and 105-349 delegates the responsibility of appointing the County Tax Administrator, Collector, and Assessor to the Board of Commissioners, and whereas Danny Eisenhower was appointed by the Burke County Board of Commissioners to serve a 4-year term as the Burke County Tax Administrator, Collector, Assessor on July 1st, 2019, and he is retiring effective March 18th of 2022. And whereas John B. Bridgers has been hired as the new Burke County Tax Administrator, Collector, Assessor effective April 4th of 2022, and whereas the new tax administrator will need to complete the remainder of Mr. Eisenhower's term ending June 30th of 2023. Now be it resolved by the Burke County Board of Commissioners that John Bridgers is hereby appointed as the Burke County Tax Administrator, Collector, Assessor effective April 4th, 2022 at 8 a.m. to complete a term expiring on June 30th of 2023. We would request the Commissioners approve this resolution.
That's a lot to say right there, isn't it?
I never say all this up here.
Any questions on this, gentleman? If not, what's the board's pleasure?
Approve the move, make the motion to approve her motion that she read. To approve resolution 2022-06, appointing John Bridges as the new tax administrator, tax collector, assessor, effective April 4, 2022 at 8 a.m. to complete the term ending June 30, 2023. Further approve the required bond.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. Mr. Bridgers, would you like to make a comment or two? I know you've driven in all this way, so I could at least give you the floor.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do appreciate the opportunity to come to Burke County. I'm looking forward to it. I know Danny's been here a good long while, and the department from the outside seems to be running well, and I hope that I can carry on that. I think that one of my basic tenets in life is the more we work together, the brighter we all shine. So I think that's true in all aspects of life, and I hope to carry on that on through my term here at Burke County. And I thank you guys.
Thank you, welcome, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Move on to item number 2 under items for decision. That is contract approval. Get this on. Moving on to item number 2 under items for decision, contract approval for architectural services for drug treatment facility. This will be presented by our County Manager, Brian Steen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, we've been in this process for a while now. We've been before you to pick the firm, and of course we were authorized to negotiate a contract. That contract has been negotiated for a fee of $256,000 for architectural design services for converting the former Burke Catawba Confinement Facility into a regional long-term drug treatment facility. So we have this for your consideration and potential approval.
Gentlemen, we've heard this presented prior. Are there any questions or comments? Mr. Egan?
How old are the, either patients or people that we put in this facility, how old are they going to be? And are they all male or female or mixed?
Well, I think they'll have to be at least 18 years of age, but it would be male and female. And some of the design work, of course, is working with the service providers for the types of services that they're intending to provide. And it's also going to take into consideration gender so that they'll be separated as needed.
You know, this building wasn't good enough for our prisoners in Burke County. And all of a sudden, we're going to come up with this idea to put people 18 years old or maybe a little older in this facility. I don't care where you go. I've talked to numerous people. It's always going to be known as the Burke County Jail or whatever. And I just think it's a sin to put people in there with that stigma of the Burke County Jail. I just don't see that at all. Plus, the monies that we put into that, I believe we could build a new building or whatever for, you know, I don't think we're so far along with the cost of this thing that we can. But I just can't imagine putting people 18 years old in a former jail cell. It's just that's the craziest thing in the world.
Mr. Chairman, I have several questions on this subject. Number one, who is the company that will utilize the building? Who are we doing all this for?
This will be the substance abuse treatment providers that are here in this area and work with Partners Mental Health.
Do we have a name?
I don't know them right off. I know Burke Substance Abuse Network is one, Cognitive Connection is another. I don't know all these companies, I'm sorry.
What are the terms and length of the contract proposed?
The only contract before you is to pay the architect to remodel the facility for the substance abuse treatment facility.
And the contract?
Is for $256,000 to plan, design, remodel the facility.
But the company whoever is going to occupy the building, are they paying us? Do we have a contract? What are we doing?
We haven't got to that point, sir.
We don't know. Will they eventually own the building?
No, we'd have to bring that to the board if we were going to try to do that, sir.
Are there minutes to the secret meetings that made this available?
I'm not aware of any secret meetings, sir.
On page 316, supplemental and additional services that would be added to the contract. Any idea what that's supposed to mean before we sign a contract?
If they have to go beyond what they normally do, their hourly costs for different things, if this is more difficult than they had anticipated, or we ask for changes.
So they do have you're going to sign a contract for $250,000 and they can add to that. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your entire question.
I said, we're signing an agreement for the architect at $252,000 and they can still add to that.
That would have to be with our approval, sir.
They would what?
That would have to be with our approval if there's any additional costs beyond that. We'd have to agree to it.
According to the contract, we're pre-approving it. JR, did you read the contract?
Yes, sir, I have.
Did you see that?
Supplemental and additional work has to be approved by the county.
Mr. Chairman, I've seen some facilities that were a jail and they made something else out of them, but I don't believe I've ever seen a jail turned into a facility like we're talking about. Yeah, and I think there's going to be a certain stigma to those young people that go in there, it's always going to be noted as a Burke County jail. I don't care who you talk to. It's a jail, and that's what it is. And if it wasn't good enough for a jail, how come all of a sudden it's good enough for putting youth in?
On page, Mr. Chairman, may I continue? Page 317, items 6.4 and 6.5. There's a lot of protection in that agreement for the architect and the builder. There's none in there for the county. Absolutely none. Who wrote this contract?
It's an AIA form contract, and the county is in the driver's seat. They can't do anything without our consent or permission. And we don't have an agreement with the contractor yet. That comes later, after the construction documents are drawn up. So we don't have a contract with a general contractor at this point.
Are you saying we're taking a regular formula, nonchalant, standard contract, and we don't have any input in that contract?
The county manager negotiated the contract. It has areas that differ from their standard contract, but the standard contract was the beginning point.
Two calls from the community today. And what happens to the drug users after treatment? Where do they go? Are we going to become labored with other money? And are we making Burke County, and especially the city of Morganton, a drug hangout and drug abusers by opening this facility in our county and city? Do we have, I'm going to second a question to that, Mr. Chairman. Is there a record of this company somewhere else that can indicate to us how many they treat, how many they benefit, where do they go after treatment, what do they do after treatment?
Jim, those are all unknowns. I mean, that I'm sure there'll be support groups to help people that stay in this area, but this is going to be for the western regional part of the state of North Carolina. Trying to guess whether people are going to stay here or go back to their home counties or something, I can't answer that.
Well, the biggest question that's not been answered on this project to me, how many more employees will Burke County entities have to hire to handle this project in our county? How many sheriff officers? How many mental health? The social services? I could think of a couple of others, but you get my point. If drug abusers come to this county to be treated, and they end up being Burke County citizens, what's the added cost?
I have no way of estimating a cost for that. I have no
Don't we
way
need
of
that
knowing.
before we make an agreement like this?
This agreement is for design services from an architect. That's all this contract is for.
Yep. And finally, gentlemen, how many of you have this? You got one of these? You got one? What is it? It's schools for county commissioners. Nobody has one. JR, do you have one of these? Do you have one of these?
What is it?
It's guidelines for county commissioners.
Not that I know of.
I have called.
I'm not a county commissioner.
I have called many, many people and finally got a hold of a lady at the Institute of Government who is an attorney. And I brought this to her attention as honest and as fair as I could. And she said, from the School of Government, the Institute of Government said this: in order to protect the board and each commissioner, that this item was presented by an unauthorized committee and that we form a new committee to do what was done in secret because we know so little about this project. And she doesn't understand how that happened. And I said, well, I don't know either, but the rules are pretty simple, pretty thorough, and written for a 5th grade student to understand. Official meeting, assembly, gathering together at any time, place, or simultaneous communications by conference, telephones, and electronic means of a majority of members of public body for the purpose of conducting hearings, participation, deliberating, or voting upon otherwise transactions in the public business with jurisdictions, real or apparent, public body, meeting an informal assembly of gathering together is a public body and requires official meetings posted. And this is so simple for me, guys. When I answered Jeff's comment, this was normal procedure. This is what they refer to as a stacked deck movement. You get who you want on the committee, you get who you like, you get who will agree with you, and you conduct secret meetings to come up with a presentation to present to this board. How many of you know that's incorrect? Jeff, if your deacon and your pastor got together with 4 or 5 members at your church, met in secret, and voted to spend $300,000 on new pews, how would that sit with your church? That's what you did. That's what this is. Don't answer, that's not intent, it's just an analogy. I have to be truthful to you and tell you that I told this attorney that I kind of liked the idea to begin with, that I'd like to see that jail utilized. Burke County taxpayers have got a lot of money invested in that jail and got 10 times that much money invested in the new jail. But from her counsel and advice, she said to make sure that gets in our minutes. But if she was a member of this board, she would vote no. And
any other comments?
Well, I just think it's wrong. The whole thing is wrong, and it's always going to have that stigma as a Burke County jail, and to put young people in there. I just think it's wrong. Going to be so wrong. We're trying to help people, and this is not helping people. Putting them in a facility like this with the name on it. I mean, we can change the name to all sorts of different names, but it's still part of the sheriff's department and whatever. I don't think you can ever get over that stigma that it was a jail. I wouldn't want my kids if they were drug users in a facility like that.
Any other questions or comments? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, can I say, I just think we need to think about this a little more and give it a little more thought or whatever, appoint a committee or whatever. I'm like Maynard, it sort of backsided me. I didn't have any idea we were, tell our pre-agenda, but it's sort of, I feel backsided on this thing. I mean, we're talking about a facility here. I don't know how many millions of dollars this is going to cost, but we're going to spend $256,000 up front, which to me is a lot of money right then and there. But it almost looks, when you read this, like it's a done deal.
Thank you. Gentlemen?
And do we really know for a fact, and where's the statistics that show that we need a facility like this? I haven't seen any statistics or anything. I realize there's a lot of people out there that are on drugs or that, but is this the kind of facility that's needed? We haven't had an expert in here to tell us that or whatever. I'd like to hear an expert tell us that a facility like this is needed for this purpose, but I haven't talked to anybody, or I don't know of anybody that can probably give us that kind of information in Burke County.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to request, if there are any, I'd like to request the minutes and at least how many times this body of people, whoever it was that made the committee, how many times they met. And I'd like to make the motion that we not accept this and start afresh and follow proceedings as laid out for county commissioners.
Commissioner Taylor has made a motion to not accept the proposal. Everyone that's in agreement signify with the uplifted hand. With everybody that's,
pardon?
Everybody that is in agreement with your motion, signify with the uplifted hand. Those opposed? All right, gentlemen, is there any other?
Mr. Chairman, I move that to approve a contract between Burke County and Hemphill Randall Associates in the amount of $256,000 for architectural design services for converting the former Burke County Detention Center facility into a regional long-term drug treatment facility. Further authorize the county manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the board.
Gentlemen, you've heard Commissioner Britton's motion. All those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Those opposed? Motion carried 3-2, Madam Clerk. Moving on to item 3, under items for decision, appointments to Parks and Recreation Commission, presented by our clerk, Ms. Kay Drawn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is a request to make some appointments to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Seat number 1, that would be Nikki Costello, representing Forest Hill, to complete the remainder of a term expiring March 31, 2024. Sandy Clark, seat number 2, Glen Alpin, to complete the remainder of a term expiring March 31st, 2024. Curtis Hildebrand, seat number 8, Ray Childers, to complete the remainder of a term expiring March 31, 2023. Scott Bollinger, seat number 9, Mull, to complete the remainder of a term expiring March 31, 2024. Brandon Klontz, seat number 11, Salem, to complete the remainder of a term expiring March 31, 2023. And for seat number 13, you have 2 applicants, LaPortia Cuthbertson or Damon Hatton. And their term would be to complete the remainder of a term expiring March 31, 2023. So we just need to choose either Ms. LaPortia or Mr. Damien to fill seat number 13.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any questions or comments? Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint Nikki Costello to seat number 1, Sandy Clark to seat number 2, Curtis Hildebrand to seat number 8, Scott Bollinger to seat number 9, Brandon Klontz to seat number 11, and LaPorche Cuthbertson to seat number 13.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you one question?
Uh-huh.
When was all this done on this, on this building, all this pre-work that was done with, and who was involved in that, involved in all that? Because it sure excited me. I never heard anything about it till. But surely there must have been a committee or group of people involved in trying to put this together or come up with the idea. I don't.
Mr. Haley, I would encourage you to get with our county manager after the
I
meeting.
mean, I think this is so wrong. This is completely wrong. I mean, a group of commissioners don't even know about it. And here
You have been told about this for over 1.5 years every time we came into this meetings. I don't know where you two commissioners, and I respect both of you, I don't know where you were at, but there were report after report after report after report of what was happening over there with the collaboration between Partners Healthcare and trying to get the people to come in and have a regional facility. And it was presented right here in this room, and you two listened to it.
He was absent, Mr. Chairman.
Not every meeting that we had. This has been presented to this. Let me finish. Don't throw your hand up. Let me finish. You've been real rude to us tonight. And I don't like your little smirky grin either, okay? You've been rude to us tonight. Let me finish.
Well, let me finish.
And let me finish.
Go ahead.
Up, you're laughing. That is that is just unethical on your
Oh, you
part,
think so?
Commissioner Taylor. Now, we've had these meetings, and it's been presented here over the last 1.5 years. I don't know how many number of meetings that we've had that this has been presented, and this has gone through Chairman Britton when he was the chairman. It was gone through, I can't remember whether I was the chairman or not at one time, but this is brought up, and everything that was discussed between the meetings when the county manager and the chair and or the vice chair was at those meetings has been brought back to this board and was presented to this board as to what was asking to be done over at that building since we own that building. I'm going to agree with Wayne. That's probably not the most ideal building in the county, but it's the building that we own, and there's other buildings that have been converted into rehab centers, this same kind of building.
Could you, surely if we have all these minutes that Mr. Carswell's saying that we have, can we please by the next meeting have a showing of these minutes that we've all discussed this? I must be missing something. I remember a little talk about a facility, but I didn't hear anything about we're this close to putting money into a facility or anything. Maynard and I must have been left out. But I agree with you that there was a little talk about a mental health facility, but very little. And please show me in the minutes. If we had all these minutes, it must be in there. So please show me the minutes this week.
Mr. Chairman, maybe this will clear it up. This all started as a surprise kind of addition to our budget hearing. Then it was followed with pre-agenda, and it was on today's agenda, and I brought many of these same concerns to this board in pre-agenda. So it's been in front of this board when I've been here 3 times, and the first was during budget hearing.
Madam Clerk, can you follow through? Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 11, reports and comments. We'll start with Mrs. Pierce.
Thank you. I don't have anything to report.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the last meeting of the Commissioners on February 15, 2022, I've attended the final meeting of the Burke County Industrial Revenue Bond Board, having researched the issue of dissolution, and upon authorization of that board, I prepared substitutions of trustees, forms, and certificates of satisfaction for two never canceled deeds of trust that have been repaid by Emory Corporation and recorded those. I've researched the ability of the county to extend time to a grant recipient for meeting employment goals under a local grant to Zero Delta and Critical Resources LLC, and prepared a summary of their request for the agenda. And currently I'm working on a grant amendment agreement to reflect this. The county closed on the Hazel Shell property this morning in Jonas Ridge. We hope to close on the Eleanor Shell Ayers property by the end of this month. We closed on the Robert Wayne Harris property at 1410 Harris Wisnett Road on February 25th to be used as a trailhead or a trail system. And I attended a show cause hearing on Robert Cook's junkyard. Mr. Cook has made substantial efforts at compliance with court's order, and he was given an additional 30 days to come into complete compliance. And that hearing will resume on March 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to let you know that I will be attending a county clerk's conference tomorrow through Friday, and I will work on getting those minutes when I get back.
Okay. We hope you have a good time.
No comments, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Avery?
No comments.
Mr. Taylor?
Mr. Chairman, I have quite a few. I was informed, and I asked the clerk, and to get what I sent to each of you, I have to do this in open session. Prefer not to, but since it needs to be in the minutes, I'll be happy to do so. And before starting this, on the presentation that was made about the rezoning, you did ask the board if we had any questions for Alan, and I asked the only question. Then you had open comments from the group, and you did not ask for comments after that, which is normal procedure in public hearings. It's on your docket. All you have to do is roll the tape. This is in response to you and Johnny's article in the News Herald, and involves the new appointed educational board member. Her name was Taylor. We are not kin by Taylor. We're not, we do go to church together. And so I just want you to know that before I get started. The information that Leslie, that's her first name, requested or emailed to all 5 commissioners, which by protocol dictates it's a 5-person decision, not 1. The same information was to be mailed to the school board members at the same time. Information was sent from her personal private computer and not the school board's computer or facilities. She represented herself, not the school board, and included her desire to have both boards consider the resolution. You do not give up your rights to free speech when you are elected official to any board, since the information was only sent to the school board and board of commissioners. Who and why did somebody contact the News Herald and do a story without first addressing the full board? This was a simple request to consider joint resolution. There were no demands, threats, or ill will insinuating. The truth of this matter. The subject matter of her request is an ongoing topic with most school systems. Keeping kids out of school is top of mind awareness for every parent, teacher, and child. Mrs. Taylor was quick to address the reason for her request. She listed in paragraphs 2 through 4 the reason that contact is hurting more than helping and could give students more time in school. Understanding that teachers get paid if they teach 10 days a month or 20 days a month, but if the students are not present, they miss that lesson because the teacher must teach the next day's lesson. She provided a copy of a joint resolution approved by Union County Board of Commissioners and Union County Board of Education. It basically resolves to keep children in the classroom when they are healthy. I reviewed the resolution and would have no problems or concerns in supporting the resolution. She also provided us with a copy of an update criteria concerning COVID and Burke County current rules and directives for handling COVID. Her information also included 3 testimonies from parents whose children attend Burke County School. They support a desire for change. Mrs. Taylor could have signed up under informal public comments agenda in this board meeting and presented them without complaint or comment from the board. Burke County Code of Ethics, Section 4B4, and you'll find that this rule, Board of Commissioners members should accord to every person who is legally interested in a proceeding before the board full right to be heard according to law. Opinions. Number 1. For item B, I give her grade A for research and documentation. Number 2, item D, I give her an A+ grade for examples from other counties. Number 3, for items E through F, I would give her a AA grade for thoroughness of her presentation. Number 4, the full board was omitted from due process on this item. We were not allowed to support or deny. Our opinions and input were not considered. If we denied the request, written justifications should have been forwarded to the full school board and the presenter. Number 5, we held our pre-agenda meeting last Tuesday, 2 budget workshops on Thursday and Friday. On Friday, we added 4 new items to the agenda for Tuesday, 2/15. We could have easily added this item as well. Since it was not asked to be discussed, I'd assumed that it would be on our pre-agenda items in March. The question, why wasn't it? Number 6, it would have been much wiser if our board would have at least heard and considered the request instead of publicly degrading and belittling a fellow public officer. Added on 2/11/22, Mrs. Taylor's request was really on target. As of yesterday, the DHHS resolved the issue by eliminating contact tracing for the entire state. I have some comments. I have clipped out the article that you and Johnny put in the paper. It's an embarrassment to both boards, but this board usually is a real good board. And I would gather to say 95% of the time or better, we're in agreement. And we don't have this underhanded stuff that's going on the board. It's pathetic. if we agree 95% of the time, but I promise you that most good board members, if you grin and try to tell me that blue is red, I'm going to argue with you. Argue is a bad word. I'm going to debate that with you. If you tell me yellow is black, I'm going to bring it to your attention. If you break the rules of our own county organizations, everybody around this table needs to bring it to each other's attention. That's what makes a good board. We do not move as a board, as an individual member. We move as a board. The example they used in some of this training is like a group of mice following a ball of cheese. That's when you're a good board. And these things that's creating friction on this board should have never in 1,000 years have happened. Period. I have more to say, but I believe I'll end with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Britt.
No comments.
Commissioner Carson. All right. Well, I will say, please spay or neuter your pets, pick up trash, secure your load. Let's keep this county clean. Courtesy reminders, Danny's retirement party, hope everybody can attend. It'll be this Friday, March 18th, 3 to 5. It'll be a drop-in, so please come and tell Danny congratulations. And on March 31st, Western Piedmont Council of Governments has their annual meeting, so we hope to see y'all there. And then on April 28th, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners is holding this district meeting here at the Morgan Community House at 5:30. So, and we will have multiple districts here representing, how many counties, Kay?
8 in total.
8 in total. I thought it was 8.
Districts 13 and 15.
Okay, thank you. Oh, no, I hadn't got to that. Yep. Apparently I need to get you an updated agenda because you've been bouncing all over the agenda tonight, so I have not gotten to that. Now we'll go to item number 12. Vacancy reports. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, audience members. We have the following opportunities for citizens to be engaged in county boards and committees: the Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, Burke County Parks and Recreation Commission, the City of Morganton Board of Adjustment and Planning Board for the EPJ, the Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, Child Protection and Child Fatality Prevention Team, the East Burke Senior Center Advisory Board, the Burke County Board of Adjustment, the Council on Aging, the Burke County Board of Health, and Partners Consumer and Family Advisory Committee representing traumatic brain injury.
Madam Clerk, I would encourage everyone to get involved in public discourse and also be a public servant. Please sign up for one of these boards. There's multiple opportunities out there, so we can get you put to work. So anyway, thank you, Madam Clerk. There is no need for closed session tonight, so gentlemen, we'll recess this meeting till tomorrow, March 6th at 3 p.m. here to discuss that grant opportunity. 16th. I said, what did I say? 16th. All right.
3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock. So we'll recess to 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, that's do we have an email on this? Any information, any additional information, just show up? Is that it?
we'll go over the providers that have been in contact with us and what they're asking about, asking us to partner with them for broadband expansion grant.
Okay.